Jimmy and the Beast. After the party, little Jimmy Jerkiness decided to walk home, as it was such a pleasant evening. He was not sure of the way, but certain it would not be difficult to find him home. Presently, he found himself in a silent, deserted street. Looking around himself in the dim lamplight, he noticed that all the buildings lining the street were bakeries. Thinking that this was rather odd, but dwelling on it no further, he bent down to tie up his shoelace, which had become loose. As he was kneeling down, concentrating on his shoelace, Jimmy was plunged into sudden darkness. The lamplight was blocked out, and suddenly it was dark and cold, and there did not appear to be much room for him to move. Having tied his shoelace up, Jimmy attempted to stand up, but found that his movement was restricted considerably by a huge, soft, cold bulk. This confused Jimmy, and again he tried to stand up faster and with more force, until he sensed a vague sensation of cold sausages clenching and gripping his neck, pushing him slowly back down again. Now quite annoyed by this unwelcome gesture, Jimmy frowned and looked up into an immense, pale, freckly, glaring face, topped by a baby-like crop of smooth black hair, speckled by dandruff. The huge figure seemed motionless like a great building, bulging into the blocked-out moonlight above. Slowly a low rumble was emitted from somewhere within the massive monstrosity's stomach area. It rose to a deafening roar that made the street lamps tremble and the glass in the windows rattle. The sausage sensation became more intense, gripping his neck still tighter until there were grooves left in his skin, and still it would not release this clamp. Little Jimmy was not going to put up with this any longer. Fumbling around in the darkness, he came across a small torch that he kept in his pocket. Switching it on, he directed the glare straight into what he assumed was the head. Jimmy was knocked back as an ear-splitting roar of panic and rage blasted from the beast, which buckled and toppled backwards, collapsing with a supersonic impact, which carelessly knocked Jimmy into the air and flattened the lamppost into a metal pancake. Drawing back a piece of shattered lamppost, Jimmy stood up to survey the wretched scene. He realized that he was standing on the bulk's stomach, which was rather more like an inflatable mountain, and it trembled with the vibrations of excessive hunger. Stepping back from shock, Jimmy fell over into the stomach button and cried out for help. Suddenly and without warning, streaming rivers of saliva flowed down from the fatty's distant chin. Aware it was possible that he would drown as the stomach button filled up like a lake, Jimmy used all the energy he had to jump to safety. By this time Jimmy was getting worried. He knew that the enormous figure was going to eat him. Jimmy started to run back in the direction of home when he heard enormous thuds of huge and balanced mass. The great fatty was lumbering after him, wheezing heavily, and its arms were outstretched, ready to clamp Jimmy's neck again. Jimmy tried to run faster, but the monstrosity had its eyes strongly fixed on him with a paralyzing glare. Jimmy couldn't move. He froze in fright. The fat hands clamped tightly around Jimmy's neck and cut off his air supply with a cold sausage clamp.
Paddy thou gore, Frau Booby,
bellowed the bear moth. Jimmy's world was getting darker. He was starved of oxygen. He saw his vision fading, and just as he thought he was going to die, there was a sharp piercing noise, and the towering hulk let go of his neck, and Jimmy fell to the floor. Hundreds more of these dart things hit the beast. Jimmy soon realized that he was being tranquilized. The fatty let out an overpowering scream of pain. It thrashed about and started lumbering towards the bakeries. Jimmy turned round and saw 3 slender lankies in a lanky copter with tranquilizer guns flying in the direction of the huge freak of nature. With each sweep of the searchlight, the immense beast bellowed out an ear-shattering roar of anger, snatching stupidly at the light as further darts pierced its flubber. Jimmy's cry for help was drowned out by the clattering of the lanky copter blades as they whirred close to the fatty's triple-chin neck, its sausages clenched and unclenched in frustration as the sneering lankies guided the lanky copter in and out of its reach. Jimmy hands clapped that he would drown. Jimmy's stomach filled up with the huge tranquilizer. The end.